Hi, my name's Wes, and I've been a pastry chef most of my life, and I want to share with you a great bar cookie today that's easy, but it's fantastic, and I've been making it for about 20 years. It's called a triple chocolate magic bar. It involves Oreos ground, white chocolate chips, dark chocolate chips, coconut, walnuts, and at the very end you're going to use some condensed milk, and it's fantastic. And then we'll drizzle it with ganache when it's all done. So here we go. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to foil a 7-inch pan. You want to spray it down generously, not too ridiculous. Then you're going to take some melted butter. I use a half stick for this measurement. And you want to get it in there pretty good, and because you're going to use your fingers a little bit to move it around. You can use a spatula or whatever, but there you go. So you've got it started. You want it to be fluid-like. Then you're going to take your Oreos, which is a scant cup, and you're going to sprinkle them around as evenly as you can in the beginning. You want to avoid letting the butter start to pool in the middle. So spread your Oreos around really well. So you got it kind of gestured out there, just like that. You have a kind of a overview. Then you're going to I take the back of my fingers and I start pressing in. Okay, so you want it to be tight. You're going to gently do it at first because you're just kind of mapping out a level surface. And feel free to turn the pan as you're working. It's like almost like pottery. You get that nice and tight, almost like a pie dough or a cheesecake crust. And use your fingers to get up to the edges so you get a tight seal. Because if the edges are not nice and tight, once it's baked and cooled, it'll crumble when you slice it. So that's pretty good. Don't want any pools of Oreo and butter. Okay, so that's your base. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the coconut, and I've pre-measured that. That's a half cup of sweetened grated coconut. You can get it at Walmart. And you're going to sprinkle that in there. You're going to try to make it nice and even. There's no packing on this layer. Just get it nice and even. Just like that. And it's okay if there's a little black coming through, that's fine. And now you're moving on to your chocolate chips. I like to put the chocolate, the dark, down first. And you can use milk chocolate if you have some. I like the contrast of the dark and the white. And there you go. Then you have your dark chocolate or milk chocolate layer. Then you're taking the same measurement, and that would be a scant half cup, just under a half cup of both chips, by the way. So now you're going with the white, sprinkling it around, just eyeing it so it's kind of even, and then you're good. Now the next step is your final step before the condensed milk, and you're going to take some ground walnuts, but you don't want to go too powdery. You want them still to have some identity, so there's some little chunks. Now don't turn it into powder. Just pulse it till you get it to something like that. And that's going to be 2/3 cup of walnuts. And this you're going to do the same. This is a very important layer. You want to sprinkle that around just like that. And that's good. Now what you're going to do is you're going to press down and put pressure on all your layers before you put the condensed milk down, and you're creating a nice packed solid unit. Once again, if you can get those edges nice and tight, and that's pretty good. And so now you can use generic condensed sweetened milk. That's what I do, unless you have another brand. I get this at Walmart. Take the small can. It is a 14-ounce can. We're not going to use all this, but you kind of eyeball it. Now this is really important because what you're going to do is you're going to very carefully rope out a border. You're going to pour it down about a 1/2 inch from the border, because what happens is as it bakes, that little moat or rope of condensed milk you make is going to move out a little bit. So you're compensating for that. If you go right to the edge, it's not going to work right. So you want to create this little border. You're going to gently lay it down just enough so you have it's not quite to the edge. Now you're going to start roping it out into the center, trying to fill in those pockets. And we'll look at the can when it's done, and we can give a exact amount that we've used. A little bit there, and that's good. So it looks like we've used about 80% of the can. As you can see in there, there might be a ½ inch left. And you're good to go. Now it goes in the oven. So you're going to make some ganache, and I use a 50-50 ratio. Maybe get a ½ cup of heavy cream, bring it to a simmer on the stove, turn it off, and then you want to pour it over a ½ cup of chocolate chips. You're going to whisk it till it's smooth, and then you're just going to let it set a little to thicken it up, and then we'll go to the next step. Or you could refrigerate it just to speed it up. So after your magic bar has been baked, you might have a little darker edge around there, but if you pull it out early enough, it should be fine. So all ovens are different, and this you might want to try 25 minutes when you bake this, just so it's a little lighter brown. But this is very well set, and what I did is I let it cool for about 30 minutes, then I refrigerated it until it cooled off completely. So now we bring it out of the refrigerator, and we want to release it from the foil. And there's different ways you can do it. If you have the same size pan twice, you can do what I'm doing, and that's what we're going to do. So you take another pan, you insert it, and then you flip this over and set it down, and you're going to carefully just undo the aluminum foil, and it should come right out. So there it is upside down. Now what you do is you very carefully take the foil off, supporting it as you're peeling it away with the other hand so it doesn't rip the dessert. You just have to walk your foil off there while putting some pressure with the other hand. Sometimes it comes apart a little, but you should be able to get it. And there you have a very perfect upside down magic bar. And you'll take the original pan, put it back on there, and you're going to flip it over, put some pressure on to hold it. And you flip it over, and there it is now inverted on the back side of your pan. Okay, now we're going to drizzle the dessert, the magic bar, and we're just going to grab a spoon. Your ganache is somewhat thickened up, as you can see. Just give it a little mix. And you want to take a little bit, and you're just trying to make a stringy kind of rope effect with your ganache. And there we go, thick and thin, just to give some variety. And the idea is to put enough drizzle down to not only make it look good, but when you slice it, that each piece gets a little bit of ganache. And that's that. All right, it's going to be up to you how big you want your slices. I'm just going to show you a sample of what this looks like once it's cut into. Semi set up there. We'll pull that apart. Cut a little piece here. Get a few of them. And this is what it should look like. You've got all that good coconut, there's the white chocolate, the dark chocolate, the walnuts being on top. And you have your Oreo crust.